Alright, hello YouTube, we are back with another video. This is Aleczaender here, and we're getting into another document on Leutgard. And before we get into the video, I just want to say there are some misconceptions that I made this document. I'm hearing it, oh, he made the document, it's all Aleczaender. I did not make the document. It was actually a former Teutonian named Dur-N. I don't know what his real username is or anything like that, but he made the document. The document was then edited, or rather proofread, by some anonymous Zaenderists, and I promise you it wasn't me. I did not make the document. I didn't proofread the document. I don't have edit access, okay? So there's no way I could have made the document. It's not even my format. If I made a document, it would have looked a lot differently. But I'm not here to rant about the document and proving I didn't make it or whatever. I'm just saying that because people are confused and think this is my doing. It's not. I'm reacting to the document. But before we get into the video, I just want to say that I'm a little sick. I've been kind of under the weather the last couple of days, so I've not been feeling that well. But we're going to proceed. I am still high energy. I may not be at 100% energy, but I am still at high energy. So if I'm like, I don't know, if my words slip or if I'm like not talking or anything like that, I mean, I'm a little sick. So I'm a little low energy, but I want to get into this. So this document got dropped. I think I was the first to know about it because apparently I'm the leader of the anti-Leutgard movement now. And I don't really subscribe to that title. I wouldn't say that I'm the leader of anti-Leutgardism. This movement, as opposed to Leutgard, has been around for many years. There is no leader of it. There is no formal anti-Leutist Leutgardist movement. I'm just a guy trying to survive. You got to remember, I'm in this fight because Leutgard targeted me. He removed me from my group that I built up, that I made, that pretty much is credited only to me. Proof of that is that the group died after I left. He sold to the Rising Cow. The group is still quite inactive without my presence there. We're pissed about that. He goes further as to slander my good name, spread calumny on my good name, and then harass and attack me and slander me. You know, saying that I am a turbo groomer, saying that there was an effort to groom someone known as Hansel, who many of you have heard about. There is no proof that suggests this. There is a recording release that has over 7 hours of footage of me in a call with her. Nothing in that call suggests that I groomed her. And this is why I attacked Leutgard. Leutgard's been saying to his inner circle, you know, why is he attacking me? Why is he continuing to talk about me and not RCR Mike or Root Media or Banasting? That's like, well, because Leutgard, you went the extra mile. Mike never said he wanted me totally removed. Mike never said he wanted a trial. He was at the trial because Mike, no one else could do it except for Mike. No one else could prosecute me like Mike could. These were all concerned individuals who just wanted awareness. They never asked for my total removal or for a crusade against me like you've demanded. Like you demanded the Cadens to go after me. You demanded John Reggie to go after me and dox me. So this is not my doing. This is your doing. But we're going to get into this. The masses voted in favor of a video because I was kind of moving on from the drama. I am kind of moving past the whole drama. But I did say in my truth video that I would do a video reacting to anything that talks about Leutgard, that kind of goes into depth about, you know, his crimes, his allegations. I said even if they are a little exaggerated, I will bring light and attention to them because Leutgard did the exact same thing to me. As far as I know, nothing in here seems slanderous. Nothing in here seems like it is kind of lying on his good name. So that would be calumny. It sounds like everything in here is accurate. So nothing that I'm doing here is wrong. Leutgard, on the other hand, has shed light to things that are out of context. He has exaggerated allegations against me. So I've done no wrong here. But let's get into the document. We are only about 5 minutes into this. I want to get started with talking about the testimony. So this person starts off with a testimony from yours truly, Aleczaender, where I give a long paragraph, 2-paragraph response on my relationship with Leutgard. So I tell him about my friendship. It was diminished. Leutgard was against the Christian elements of my group. For instance, you know, we said that we were going to make a helmet that had a rosary on it. The person that proposed this idea wasn't even a Christian. It was Vilicus Vilheis who proposed a variant of the Octavian helmet with a rosary, and Leutgard said, "I'm not paying for that." He's like, I can't be asked to deal with this. I'm not going to pay for this." Every time there was anything Christian, he was vehemently opposed. The only exception of this was the cross that Fra Otto made, and I think it was because of its historical significance to the group. I think that was the reason why he kind of tolerated that idea, but otherwise he was vehemently against anything Christian. And he would crash out. The Leutgard crashed out over a victory we won in mid-February of 2025. The Octavian army, legion, and other elements of Octavium fought against the ruler's guard and won in an official raid. They cheated. They tried to give themselves weapons and gears to win. They still lost. Leutgard crashed out, but not over his own members who AA'd. He crashed out over me for winning the raid, saying that it's our fault because we gave his ruler guard generals admin. It was around this time that Leutgard began planning. Of course, Operation Realms Commissariat South began in around April, May, at the latest May, but it could be planned as early as March or April. So I go in depth about this. I even talk about Leutgard's personal views on Christianity, that Leutgard believed that Christianity was the reason that the West is being destroyed. He claimed that Jews manipulate Christians, especially evangelicals, which is kind of true, but not all Christians. He was saying that all Christian denominations are swayed and manipulated by the Jews, that it is a byproduct of the Jewish religion, which is a talking point that a lot of siegists use, a lot of 767 use, amongst other third positionist groups. And he also disagreed with our viewpoint on sex, on alcohol, and other things, saying that humans, especially white people, should be promiscuous, that we should have multiple partners, we should have sex with many people, we should be drinking at a young age, and he believes that white people should worship a hero of their country, and very much like North Korea. So I give my testimony. Stack gave his testimony. We also have a video testimony of Stack in my previous video. Obviously, you can check that out if you're interested in his testimony. I'm not going to go through it just because we're rehashing the same stuff. We also have a screenshot of Comrade Mordflox being confronted by the Teutonians. As you can see, they're saying he said he has no proof, so he's been lying. Why are you screaming? He accuses him of screaming because he says it in all caps. He then says, the realms offers a chance and a place for you to prove yourself and to rise ranks. You clearly failed. You literally went to Alec and started yapping. So they got mad at him for talking about his experience. They do not refute the evidence. They do not debunk anything that they're saying. They just go and insult him and say, you failed at rising up the ranks. You're a failure to our society. You're a failure to our group. And this is why you went back to Aleczaender. Then Leutgard responds by saying, Stack, where is the truth? Please find it. Comrade Morniflox responds using a screenshot where Leutgard says he uses Christianity to manipulate people, which he did say this before. It doesn't matter if he said it 6 years ago, or 8 years ago, or 3 years ago. He said it. And the problem with this is he says he moved on. Oh, I still don't do this. I'm still not manipulating people that are Christian. I still don't hate Christianity, whatever. And then there are screenshots that prove he still does hate Christianity. And there are conversations with me where he says the same thing. And goes as far as to say that we are being manipulated by Jews. Not true. Comrade Morniflox then says, I used to be in Teutonia and praise God, and they just kept saying, shut up or shooting me. Meaning that he was discriminated against while in Teutonia. Stack said the same thing in my video where he testifies this, and there are other people who testify the same exact experience while they were in Teutonia. There's more he talks about in this, but we're going to kind of skip through this. We then move on from the harassment that they received for being for rejoining Zaenderism, and we now have evidence of Leutgard announcing Freya's ID. Now, people are saying, well, Aleczaender, did you do the same thing? Did you also announce Freya's ID? Nope. What actually happened, and this happened like a week or two before Leutgard had published her ID publicly, was I sent it to about 2 or 3 people. These were private, trusted individuals who were not supposed to leak the ID. It was meant to be in private. It was meant to be an ID that was reserved for people that were more so trusted with it. People like RCR Mike or Root Media and whatnot. It was not meant to be spread amongst the masses. A week or so after, Leutgard decides to announce the ID, which proves that Freya is actually 18. So, I guess you could say it helps my case. But it was not meant to be a public ordeal. Leutgard posts the ID. Freya finds out about this within a day of it being posted, and she tells Leutgard to take it down. It is a crime. I don't give you permission. In fact, I rescind all permission for anyone to be sitting around the ID, including Aleczaender, which I do not mind that request. In the first place, I respect the request to begin with. But obviously, to post something publicly without someone's permission, if I'm not mistaken, even if they're 18, is a crime. It's illegal, even if it was only a couple things like the first name and some other details. We've been told that it's actually illegal via ChatGPT and just a basic Google research. Now, it helps my case because it now proves in the public eye that she's 18. But, obviously, this is not an okay thing to do. You should know the law. You should know that that was utterly disrespectful. And he posted it not to help me, but rather, to attack me. I think that he, brought it up to say that it doesn't matter. Even if she is 18, it's still inappropriate. I guess that's the take he's going with. I guess even if she was 18 or barely 17, I guess saying you own someone is just as inappropriate. Question mark, question mark, question mark. So you're saying if I said I own someone and that person's like an 18-year-old guy, it's fine. But if it's an 18-year-old woman, if it's a 17-year-old girl, it's all out chaos. I don't really understand when he says it's still inappropriate. I think that take is honestly retarded because the evidence doesn't suggest that I online dated her. It suggests that we had a friendship. And it suggests in the chat logs that were exposed that Freya at one point in that friendship had a crush on me. You're telling me that even if she was 17, because if you look at the chat logs, these are chat logs posted in July, August, September, or sent in those months, she would have been 17 then, right? So, she would have been 16, she would have been 16. Nope. If you look at the dates, her birthday's in August. Most of these were taken in August, maybe July, but we're going to go with August because that's where the majority of them come from. 17. We're going to crash out over that, but if she was an 18-year-old man, not a big deal. I think that that's retarded. Frankly, I think that that's ridiculous. I disagree with that completely. I think that a 17-year-old is way different than, someone who would be like 14 or 15. Not that she was ever accused of being that young. I'm just saying that that's an enormous difference. And I think it's enough of a difference to say that if I am saying, that I own her in a sense of loyalty, it should not be regarded as a big deal. It should not be regarded as something where I should be tried, executed, and given the death penalty because of something that I said. If you believe otherwise, then something is wrong with you mentally because, this is someone who is barely an adult. Really? It was a week before they turned 18, and that makes me a pedophile? Okay. I think you're an idiot, and I think you understand how aging works, or how people work. On the topic of 17-year-olds, Leutgard mentions in DMs with someone known as Marcus Severus Septimus Amphilius, they tell us in my DMs that they are 17, that they were invited to a pub in Newcastle. Now, keep in mind, with my allegations, I never invited anyone that was a 17-year-old girl to an IRL meetup. Okay? Not even a planned marriage. They say that, oh, well, you plan to marry her and fly her out. Well, she still hasn't been married off and flown out yet. She's 18 now. She still hasn't been married off and flown out yet. Are we waiting until 25 to do this? Are we waiting until she's 30 years old? Are we grooming her at 30 years old to be married off to me? When is she going to be married off? Because there's no point of grooming someone to marry them while they're young, while they're freshly ripe. Isn't that the whole idea? So why isn't she married off yet? Meanwhile, Leutgard is messaging 17-year-olds. We know that a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago, he was messaging Odelgar. And at 17 years old, he was talking to Odelgar about, not Tinder, Grindr, which is a gay app for homosexuals to date and have sex with other men. He asked Odelgar for his phone number to then hit up other guys on Grindr and date them. We also know from Odelgar's testimony that Leutgard openly talked about gay sex with Odelgar. He did not suggest to have sex with Odelgar, but he did talk about it as a casual subject. And we also know, between 17 to 18 years old, Odelgar was invited to go to these meetups in Newcastle, England. We also know that at 18, that Leutgard flirted with Odelgar, according to Odelgar himself, and that there was definitely an interest in him. There was definitely some kind of playful crushing on him, which is kind of weird for someone who was 17 not even a couple months prior to that. Not saying it's grooming. Not saying Leutgard's a pedophile. Just saying that's weird. Very weird. We now have evidence from someone else, a second person, that Leutgard invited them to a pub in Newcastle, England for a IRL meetup. So, between my allegations and his allegations, I think we can conclude here that there is an enormous difference, an enormous boundary crossed that is superseding what I've been accused of. It's probably way worse. I would rather be caught in a 7-hour call talking to a 17-year-old about politics, religion, and their life than be caught at a pub drinking alcohol with a 17-year-old. Okay? Is that a hot take? I don't think so. I don't think it's a hot take. But that's what's going on here. He's he's privately inviting these people. And Leutgard has said in the past that, people have been invited that young. They're not allowed in the pub, allegedly, or whatever, but that, it's an open invitation. And that they try to keep it 18 plus, but if they show up, they show up, And in the stalemated general chat, I think he was saying that. He was like, well, if they show up, they show up. What can I do? They won't be allowed in. But is that even true? If you are under 18, are you allowed in the pub? I haven't done enough research to really say, but it's about the intent that matters. I mean, even if it's illegal or illegal, he's still doing it. He's still inviting them, regardless of whether it's legal or illegal. And if it is illegal, if they can't come inside the pub, then is Leutgard suggesting that when he says it's illegal for them to come in through the pub, is he suggesting that he will get them in illegally? That he's going to invite them to the pub and get them a fake ID or convince them they're allowed in, that they're 18 plus? That's not a good look either. When he says, like, oh, well, the pubs are 18 plus, they can't come in. Then why are you inviting Odelgar and now this Marcus person, who both are Odelgar was 17? Why are you inviting them if they're not allowed in? You're going to make them fly all the way out, and they're going to sit outside watching through the window while you get drunk, and then they're going to hang out afterward? How's that going to work? Doesn't make any sense to me. You want to talk about things that don't make any sense? The argument doesn't make any sense. We then have a chat log from T-Man. Oh, they also say the legal age for drinking in the UK is 18. Well, that's... well, then he's committed a crime. Doesn't matter the who, what, where, when, why. That if they showed up and they're 17, he committed a crime. In the submitted chat, we then have someone named Frontkampfer, which means front struggle or struggle war, front war, I guess, in English. Goes on about Christianity. I don't know if it's irony, but he goes on about how Christ died for our sins to be wiped and whatnot. And then Leutgard responds to this paragraph. Oh, are we talking about this stupid religion again? Or he says, actually, this stupid effing religion again. And he says, like, oh, well, when I said that I manipulate people about Christianity, that was like 7 years ago. And when I said that, that was like 2 years ago. Oh, not a big deal. Okay. Well, 3 months ago, you called it a stupid effing religion. And you told me in a call, like 4 months ago, 5 months ago, that basically that we're convinced by Jews to follow the religion, and it's all a psyop by Jews, and that we are beholden to Jews. And you also said almost 2 years ago now, you said almost 2 years ago that every church, he said, you know how churches, they have like a window of Jesus or something like that, or a cross in the window? He said we should slam through it with a fist and replace it with Hitler, in reference to, I believe, a Disney film, where I think in a Disney film they show that clip. He references that clip and says we should replace it with Hitler instead of Jesus. Now people will see me say it and say, oh, so he's a Nazi, and it's like, well, I mean, you can make that conclusion, but I don't really care about the Nazi part. I care about the anti-Christian part. Okay? I'm going to give a hot take here, and I'm going to say, like, maybe he loves Hitler, maybe he doesn't. But I think that him hating Christians is worse. Him not being Christian is worse than him being a Nazi. Because at least if he was a Nazi that loved Christ, he would still go to heaven to be saved. Hot take. If he loved swastikas and thought Hitler wasn't a bad guy, but he loved Christ even more than that, he would still go to heaven. He would still be a Christian. So I think that him not being Christian, him hating Christians, is way worse than him being a Nazi. I'm just saying. We'll move on from that, though. They give some responses here on the document's take. We're not going to really read that. I don't really care what the author thinks. I'm going to give my own take on this. We then have a comment posted from Zaendercast. This comment would have been made in, I think, early July, maybe early August, but probably like late July. So Freya's birthday is in mid-August, the 19th. So, and I know because I saw the ID myself. And he refers to her. He refers to her. He says, did you eat out the pizza the same way you did Freya? Now, you'll read the name of this channel, and you'll say, oh, it's a Zaendercast. It must be a Zaendercast. It must be a Zaender's channel. No. You can tell because it has the CNRA logo posted right on it. And if you go to the channel, you'll find it has CNRA propaganda posted all over it. So we can now conclude that it's not a Zaender's channel. It was at one point, a month, maybe a couple weeks prior to this. It is actually a channel that is owned by Pusha. Pusha the Cat, I believe, is his full username. Most of you know him as a former Zaenderist turned Etonian. He comes out and says he is my number one hater, he is my number one op or whatever. Now, he made this comment and claimed, when we confronted him, he claimed that it was actually a CNRA operative who was on the account. We asked him, he said, oh, well, maybe you can tell us who it was so that we can, go after them. Because when Pusha betrayed us, he was like, this is for Freya. I'm doing this for Freya. She might not realize it, but it's for Freya. She's a victim. Okay, Pusha. She's a victim. You feel bad. Can you tell us who wrote this sick comment that, about describing her very graphically, very sexually when she is 17? He said, no. He said, he's my friend. He made a mistake. I'm not going to do it. So, Pusha, was it a CNRA agent, or was it you making an insensitive comment because you're actually a lying piece of shit who doesn't care about other people, and you just say shit for shock value, for attention? Very sickening stuff. But I'm the bad guy. But the Zaenderists are the bad guys. We're the ones committing the evil. We're the ones that hate Freya deep down and don't care about her or these other people that have been attacked. Apparently, we're the evil ones. But your people that are disloyal to me, your people who hate me, say this about Freya. Okay. I mean, I don't know what they're talking about, but maybe I'll be wrong one of these days. We then have a screenshot from Azan, where Azan says that he doxed Evelyn, aka the person who went after Leutgard, I believe, 5 months ago, to expose him for the aesthetics of his group being in correlation to the Third Reich, and for other insensitive comments in regards to whether it be Christianity, whether it be about Hitler or Nazism or the Holocaust. She came out and exposed him, and as we know, she mysteriously took down her document and logged off the platform. No one knows why. Why did she give up her crusade against this person, Evelyn, who's obviously a socialist, a never socialist? Why would she give up this crusade out of the blue? Well, Hazan says in these DMs that are now leaked that he doxed Evelyn for Lewis and that Lewis wanted him to hurt her. Interesting. We've heard this one before. He will hurt you, your family, and everyone like you, man. Hazan is saying this in reference to me. He will hurt you and your family and everyone that you like. In the Suture Berlin document, Leutgard was exposed talking to the Cadans saying, let's launch a crusade against Aleczaender. Why are you not crusading him? Why are you crusading Teutonia and not Aleczander? In reference, by the way, in reference to his members being doxxed by the Cadans. He says, no, crusade Aleczander and not me. That's not a dox threat. That's not an order to go after me and dox me, an order to their Cadans and John Regia, who is head of the Cadan Inquisition. And here we have Hazan, who is a cyber criminal, saying that he was given orders to go after Evelyn, and that is the real reason she logged off the platform. Wow. I think that, I mean, given the context, given the behavior of his past, his history, it seems pretty credible. And they obviously reaffirm this in the document. We then have a screenshot. We'll zoom in here because I know it's, you know, not organized quite well. Kronsler, who's obsessed with following Leutgard and follows me into every game, admits that as a follower of Leutgard, that the RSO were a thing, they would run me off the platform. And this is him, obviously. You know, keep in mind who the RSO is. They're not good people. They're doxxers. They would extort women, girls actually, not just women, girls as young as 15, to then catfish other men. Frisky, who was head of the operation, would online date the girls. He was a minor himself, but he would online date the girls that he would bring in the catfish other guys, in which he would get exposed by the girls he was doing the catfish other guys for his online dating. But that's beside the point. This man admits that as a follower of Leutgard, that if the RSO still existed, they would chase me off the platform. He has then given me a threat. He is threatening me, saying that basically they would run me off the platform if they could. We know that Leutgard has tried to use the Cadans and the Regios among other forces of evil, such as Arian, and we'll get into that later. There is proof of this in the document of association with Arian, to run me off the platform. So I do not believe that this is a far-fetched theory. I believe that it's quite accurate given his history and his behavior previously. Leutgard then goes on to say, I just want to be clear, I'm not in a brothel right now denying Christian values. He says this, and you can see in the screenshot, he is clearly at what looks to be a strip club, clearly a club of some sorts that looks very promiscuous. From the seats, to the alcohol, to the letters in the background, this is clearly a degenerative area. So for him to be at a brothel is not unrealistic. Leutgard would later say that to be in a brothel is unrealistic because brothels are illegal. We know that from numerous sources, which are listed in my Suture Berlin document, that there are brothels operating in England, especially in Newcastle, illegally. They exist illegally. That doesn't mean they don't exist. So that doesn't mean that he's not at a brothel. He might not be at a brothel, but it doesn't matter. This is set in a server called Stelmated that has thousands of members, of which the majority of which are underage. Some are as young as 13 years old. To say this as an announcement in this arena nevertheless has the same inflictions, whether or not it's real or not. That's the main point and the main takeaway from making this announcement. Leutgard would later delete the announcement because of its insensitivity and because of the degeneracy surrounding it. Optics, in other words, go out the window when it comes to his rhetoric in criticizing Christ and criticizing me, in addressing, you know, his underage audience. This is another screenshot. It has been sent before. You've probably already seen it before, but it has been brought back to light because we have to reaffirm to everyone that this was sent in a server with minors as young as 13 years old. This was sent in Teutonia. You can realize this because it has the pink role. Obviously, pink is the role that Leutgard uses while in his groups. No other servers he has usually use that role, and it was sent in a public chat. He says, I railed this grinder twink half to death, and you will never do this. You will die alone and cry about it, screenshotter. Leutgard is bragging that he had gay anal sex with a a twink, a femboy, a person who, for those who don't know, is an adult that looks feminine, that looks younger. Sometimes referred to as femboys. It's in the name, right? They look like feminine boys. Twinks, although are not directly correlated to that, tend to be of the same caliber. He is bragging about screwing someone who looks like a gay boy, who I hope probably is an adult, to his underage audience. Is this really the kind of person that you want running your Roblox group? Better yet, is this the kind of person you want running your Roblox court trials when judging a 22-year-old man, at the time 22 years old? Because online he was friends with someone who was basically 18. I don't think so. And it's completely inappropriate. You should never be bragging online to your underage audience, let alone in a text chat, about you banging other gay men in real life. I mean, if you were married and you were like, oh yeah, I have a wife, I'm married to my wife, my beautiful wife, or yeah, I have a beautiful girlfriend and we're going to get married and we're dating, that's different. Bragging about having sex with other people, let alone a man that looks like a twink, and posting a picture of him half naked in your server? Really? You're going that far of an extra mile to prove that you're better than everyone else because you have gay sex with someone? It's disgusting. Completely disgusting. Looker treated the server's main channel as a personal adult blog, posting a graphically explicit sexual boast in a space known to be accessible to children as young as 13. We then see a picture where they show a portrait of Kim Jong-il, who was the former leader of North Korea until the Kim Jong-un took over as successor, in this uniform on a horse. It's not a very good picture. They should have used a more upfront picture. But I guess what we're supposed to believe is that this uniform is very similar to ones worn by Kim Jong-il. I can first testify, as someone who has watched a lot of deep hierarchy propaganda, that that is relatively true. We also see a screenshot of Kim Jong-il wearing this winter coat. Looker will often wear this exact looking coat, this exact looking uniform, on his Roblox avatar, particularly in the winter period, to further exemplify his obsession with Kim Jong-il. We don't need to have this as proof. Everyone in Newtonian already knows his obsession with Kim Jong-il, and we already know that he is someone who believes that you should worship heroes, just like the DPRK does. We also see screenshots where he has pictures of the rally grounds, which look very similar to the Third Reich. You know, this is the outdoor rally grounds that are at, I forget, it might not be Nuremberg, but I'm going to say Nuremberg. And this is the Teutonian rally grounds where they do their parades. And a lot of their recent rallies have been done at that rounds as well, just to show that they resemble the Third Reich. Like I said, I don't personally care that they are resembling the Third Reich, but a lot of people who are in Teutonia might not realize this, and it's like, look, if you don't think that this guy loves the Third Reich, then you are ignorant, and that's all I'm going to say. There's also screenshots of him saying this could be us, with like reference to the Third Reich and reference to like German uniforms and stuff. He's saying, oh, this could be us, but instead, I don't know what they're even talking about, but I think it's talking about like the RG and how the RG could have more divisions or more activity or some shit. This is a reference of, this is the Unity Guard of Teutonia. This is a SA brown shirt of the Sturmbannführung, which is the stormtrooper fighting force of the NSDAP, which is the Nazi party. This is a screenshot of Leutgard talking to Erwin W. Smith. He says, why do you prefer Alex dogshit Spain stuff to the Third Reich on Roblox? This is him literally admitting that it's the Third Reich, but on Roblox. So for those who are defending him, that it's not the Third Reich, or it's not, that he doesn't respect the Third Reich or respect Hitler, I mean, he does. He admits it. I don't know why you're defending that as your point. You might as well say, I mean, if you wanted to defend Leutgard, you might as well just say, yeah, he defends the Third Reich, and just say, yeah, he thinks Hitler's a great man, and, you know, if you're a Teutonian and you're saying, no, he's not a Nazi, he's not a Hitler, that's like retarded. Like that's like a soy boy. That's like a soy-faced argument. If you're gonna defend Antonia, okay, and you want me to respect your argument, then say, yeah, I respect that it's the Third Reich, and I don't care. Yeah, he thinks Hitler's a great man and denies Holocaust, and I don't care. At least say that. Because otherwise you look like a retard when you have things like this where Leutgard is admitting this openly and publicly. That's my take. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but that's my take on it. We are now at 35 minutes. So, Leutgard then says that, never drinking alcohol is an anti-European stance. Again, this is in a server with minors as young as 13. He is telling people as young as 13 that if they are never going to drink alcohol, then they're anti-European, they're anti-white. It's not white of you to never drink alcohol. Even though Hitler didn't drink alcohol, even though Charlie Kirk didn't drink alcohol, a lot of great thinkers of history didn't drink alcohol. A lot of great leaders didn't drink alcohol, and they built great empires. His idol Hitler didn't drink alcohol, and here he is saying that not drinking alcohol is an anti-white stance. Very weird argument. It's not even consistent with a lot of these tenets and beliefs. He then goes on to say that people don't drink are untrustworthy. Okay. Well, you are a traitor. You're a rat. You betrayed me. You betrayed your people. And you're not trustworthy, and you drink alcohol all the time. As a matter of fact, you do it so much, you betray your own audience, you'll start purging people, you'll start banning people on a spree when you get drunk. And you'll say things off the cusp and offhand, while you're drunk. That tends to, be very offensive or whatever. Not that I care, but I'm not the trustworthy one. He then goes on to say that the legal age for consuming alcohol in public should be 16 years old. In countries where this is so, the rates of youth alcohol-related crimes are lower. Let me repeat that. He is saying that when you drink alcohol younger, less crimes are committed, which is hilarious, because in America, the reason why the age of alcohol for drinking is 21 is because of the amount of accidents that were occurring with all the 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds and whoever else that were drinking at that age. And this would probably, in theory, be applied to Europe. Maybe Europe is different. But a lot of deaths relating to guns and violence are because of alcohol. Not the opposite. At least as far as I know. My dad's a lawyer. And, I know from people, a lot of cases where violence occurs is because of alcohol. In my community, we front upon drinking, we discourage it. But a lot of the people that drink in my community, people like Leopold, not Leopold Reggio, the other Leopold, the Leopold R. Smith, and Pierre de Ricturian, they were some of the most toxic individuals. They betrayed, they had evil intent. They were big drinkers. There's a trend between that. I disagree completely. This is a screenshot of him saying it's because I'm Hitler's strongest LARPer. Again, I don't really care that he said this. It's just people that are like, he doesn't like Hitler. He doesn't do that Holocaust. It's like, yeah, he does, retard. Like, yeah, he does. All right, liberal. Sorry, libtard. Sorry, liberal, but yeah, he does love Hitler. He does love the Third Reich. Like, get over it. Accept it. I don't hate Hitler. I love Hitler. It's quite obvious to me. He then says in this chat that he says the hard R. He says, I've used it maybe once or twice. I can't personally remember him using the hard R in my VCs with him, but he has said other words. He's said other slurs. Whoa. I don't personally care, but it's for the people that are like liberal, that are like left-wing communists, and they're like, Tony is an acceptive community. They believe in DEI. And it's the great community for people who are like discriminated against. And it's like, you're a freaking retard. You are an idiot, bro. Or if you're a right-winger and you're listening, he discriminates against Christians. Or if you're an atheist right-winger, well, it's like, Leutgard isn't even like a right-winger, he's like a Jucheist. He believes in hero worship or cult DPRK stuff. And he only really likes Hitler for the elements of the aesthetics and the great nation, not like the racial, not the actual conservative ideology. It's for all the other elements. There's no reason to like this guy if you like this guy. Like, trust me, if you love this guy, unless you literally agree with him on everything he does, like, there's probably something about him. There's probably something about you that he hates that you don't know about. This is what I was talking about earlier. Leutgard is in a group chat with Aryan. You can tell because this was his PFP at one point. He has the zone tag. You have to be in the zone server to receive it, which of course Aryan is in. We then see that there is a name that says Intel Repository A. So Leutgard has a group chat with Aryan, where Aryan gives him intel among other things. Do you know who also got basically kicked out of my group for being in group chats with Aryan? Me. I did. Even though there was no order of doxing, no encouragement of doxing, nothing at all from my point of view where I endorsed doxing in any way, shape, or form. Leutgard is in a group chat with Aryan, doing God knows what. My group chat with Aryan was not an Intel group chat. It was actually a group chat with maybe about 5 people, maybe less, maybe more, maybe less. I don't remember. And it was about the CNRA. It was about getting the exploits. It was for a certain cause. This is a general group chat with Aryan that it relies on intelligence, proving that he not only is in contact with him as a friend, but has an ongoing operation with Aryan as an intelligence agent. So why is it Leutgard on trial? Because Aryan has tried to dox Patrick. He's tried to dox me. He tried to dox Murrah, who now I guess is an Aryanist or some shit. I don't really know what the drama is between her and Aryan. Now they're good. Aryan has tried to go after numerous people in my group for being Zaenderists. And we have a group chat where Leutgard and Aryan are together. It is just a coincidence that Aryan has been going after my people after the trial. In fact, Aryan said that if I'm found innocent, Aryan will turn on Stelmated and go after Stelmated. True stuff. Very interesting. So what is going on here with Aryan and Leutgard in this group chat, this intelligence group chat? I'm not making theories up like Leutgard would do. I'm just saying, what is this group chat? It's suspicious. I was removed for way less. You know? Ridiculous. Then I go on to yap about Hitler and Nazism and Soviets and other things. Mainly about the optics of it, which I agree. The optics do suck. Leutgard has terrible optics. And that's coming from me. He has worse optics than me, and that's coming from me. We then have old pictures where Leutgard is, I guess, has concentration camp propaganda, armbands, addressing him as Führer, Heil, Nazi references, and his old groups. Again, don't really care. It just goes to show if you're in denial about him being a fanatic of Hitler, the Third Reich, you're ignorant. This is from the past. Like, you could say, oh, but that was like 10 years ago. Okay. Well, what about like the 20 other screenshots I just showed you? So that's really much it. You know, I don't want to go on too much of a tangent. I am kind of sick. I'm kind of like under the weather, so I'm not feeling too good. But what I want to say is that this proves what I've been saying. I said in my last video where I said Leutgard is a liar that it's weird that Leutgard is drinking publicly with his members. He's announcing, he's inviting them to members as young as 13. I said it wouldn't be surprising to me if they're slipped in a 17-year-old, right? And I was very generous with saying slip in, because I said that like they snuck in or we didn't know they were 17. I gave them a little bit more of a benefit of the doubt. And then we get this screenshot where this 17-year-old gets invited. We have a testimony from Leutgard, which also confirms that he was invited at 17, 18 years old. And now it's like, okay, well, this has got a little bit more worse than what we thought it would be. There are other stuff, too, that I haven't talked about, that I probably won't talk about because I want to see evidence of it first. That is also a little concerning. It's probably on the same level as this, but it's still concerning. And if you're crashing out because I talked to Hansel for 7 hours, then you'll crash out over what I heard too. So I don't know. I think that this document did a very good job. It's not organized very good. I don't like having to scroll in. They should have cropped certain parts. They should have given more context. They should have enlarged some screenshots and whatnot. But they did a good job. For an amateur document, they did a good job. And the document has spread. And a lot of people have reached out saying they've read the document, and it's actually changed their view. People think that I made the document. I didn't make the document. So, I mean, I appreciate the credit for it, but I didn't make the document. I think they even list, they said I'm a witness. They didn't even say that I made it. They said it was proposed by Duran, which means that he made it, and then edited by the Chamberlain, which is, I guess, the guy's pen name for who he is and what he's doing. But anyways, it's a pretty good document. It shines more evidence on Leutgard because a lot of people recycle old shit on Leutgard. We've seen the Third Reich comparisons, okay? We have seen, this screenshot before, although not enough. It needs to be seen. There's people that don't know about this. I've shown people that screenshot, and people have literally said, oh, I'm done with Leutgard after that. It's shocking to me. People haven't seen that yet. But, recycling this, and I think this was also used in my last document, I think is great because it's about making a point that this is behavior that has continued despite his apologies and despite him saying he's moved on and it's of the past. No, it isn't. There's patterns here. There's patterns of behavior that he's demonstrating in the year of 2025 that he's claimed that he's moved on for. He's been saying since 2022 that this is all old stuff, that these comments, these screenshots, and other things are all of the old past, and he's changed, and he's respectful, and he's loving, and he loves Christians, and he has Christians everywhere, and, it's like, okay, well, just because Metzer, Vogel, and Engelman, who are both Kuiper far-right Christians, are in your circle, doesn't mean that you don't hate Christians. It doesn't mean that what you're saying is wrong. I mean, even Hitler had Jews that were, in his personal guard and in his officer staff. Hundreds of them, to be exact, actually. So it's like, you can't just say that. You can't just say, Metzger, Vogel, and Engelman are Kuipers, just like you, Aleczaender, and they're in my circles. And it's like, you can't really say that. And I've talked to Metzger, Vogel, and he's told me, you're right, and I serve Leutgard, we argue all the time, and but, I have to be loyal, bro. I swore an oath to Leutgard. I have to be loyal. And it's like, the Bible says if you swore an oath that's, to a cause that's unholy, or to someone who is not, it's, not for the right cause or whatever, you can break that oath. I'm pretty sure. And you can repent of that oath, and you can go to confession and get it off your chest. You're not going to go to hell for betraying Leutgard, bro. If you think you're going to go to hell because you betrayed Leutgard, it's like, maybe you shouldn't join my group. Maybe if you think you're going to go to hell for betraying Leutgard, you swore off the Leutgard, maybe you're so dumb you shouldn't join my group. Now, that's a joke. I don't mean that. I love Metzger and Enger. Enger tried to go to the police about the CNRA thing, which was extremely scummy. He said I heard from someone, he went to the FBI because I was talking to Aryan, which is astounding because Leutgard is talking to Aryan, and he's in these group chats, and he's talking to the Caddens who SWAT people. And has Engelman gone to the FBI about Leutgard? Probably not. Probably not. So these people are not that great. The people that are Christian, that are conservative, that are in Teutonia, are not the greatest people either. So I can't complain. Now thinking about it, I can understand why they're in Teutonia, now that I think about it. Now, if they joined Octavium, if they joined Zaenderism, I wouldn't be against it. They probably won't. But it sucks. It really does suck that they just can't come to terms that Leutgard is sick, he's evil, he hates them, he hates Christians, he hates people like us, and yet they serve him. It is what it is, though, right? We all have free will. They have used their free will to commit to the forces of evil, and that's between them and God. It's not between me and them. So I leave it to them. I have no hatred in my heart for anyone, not even Leutgard. This was a great document. It exposed quite a lot on what is going on with Leutgard. I already knew the majority of this stuff was going on. But seeing that it's being exposed by people, seeing that the masses are rising up against Leutgard and exposing what's going on, I'm very happy to see that. In the last week alone, we have seen dozens of people reach out and join Zaenderism. dozens have joined my ranks, and we have also seen many dozen more people who have swapped sides, even if it's neutrality, even if it's I'm leaving Teutonia and retiring. We've seen a lot of that going on. I'm not going to name names or anything like that, although I'm thinking of them as we speak. There is a lot of people waking up to the truth. We love to see it. We love to see what's going on, and I think that we'll see more of it as time goes on. So, thank you all for watching. We have hit 50 minutes. I'm not trying to make a long video, so thank you all for watching. We will see you all soon. I think that I'm going to take a break for a little bit from YouTube. Maybe I'll come back late, like in a week or so, maybe less. I'm waiting on Root Media to make their next video, so we'll see if they come out with theirs. Sorry that the energy was a little bit lower. I know I wasn't talking as quickly, or I wasn't doing anything spectacular, but hey, I'm tired. I'm kind of sad that Charlie Kirk died. I've not been feeling too well about that. I'm feeling kind of sick, you know. I mean, I'm sweating, and it's like 69 degrees. Well, that's still kind of hot, so I guess it does make sense, but I'm not feeling so good, so I'm not really in a good mood. I don't even really want to make this video. I said I'll do this like on Monday or something, but here I am. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you all very, very soon. Stay tuned, stay loyal, join the order state. Hey, join the order state, join Zaenderism if you haven't already. If you are scared, oh no, they're going to ban me, they're going to ruin my life, make an alt account. Make an alt account. Hit us up on your alt account. Say, hey, I'm a Zaenderist. I don't want to get banned from everything. Join up. Stay loyal. Stay vigilant. Stay active. And we will see you all soon. Have a great rest of your night. And God bless.